Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to be talking about NPM modules and the NPM module system. So in Node.js, when you're writing server-side JavaScript code, usually you'll be installing modules via NPM. So when you do something like NPM, so here if I open up the console and I do something like NPM install express or something, you're installing a module that allows you to use its functions and its properties within your code. So I'm going to go over the basics on how to create a very simple module and use it in your code and how to publish it onto NPM so other people can download it. So for example, what I did here, this is the code from the previous tutorial on using NodeMon, and then we implemented this route in one of the previous tutorials. So I'm using the code which you can download in a link below. But so what I did here, so I created a folder called JS under Node app. And then within JS, I created a file called helper.js. So this helper.js file will just have a few helper functions that manipulate some data and return either strings or integers. And you'll see how to use these helper functions within your code. So the first thing we'll do is we're going to use module.exports. And then here you can assign it anything. So for example, if we did module exports equals hello world, the way to import this module now, so you do module.exports equals whatever you want to export from this file. So here we're exporting we'll do hello world from helper.js. And then in your app file, you're going to have to include it. So you're going to use require, similar to how you did express, except now we'll do var helper equals require. And now we need to specify, so you don't have to specify the file location for this because it exists in Node modules. That's where it looks first. So you can see here we have EJS and Express. If we're doing our own module, then you have to specify the location. So require JS helper.js. So this is our own module. And these are Express things. We're using a static folder and setting an engine. So here we required our helper file, and now we can use it. So in this route, let's actually create a new route. So we'll do app get, and we'll do test. So test, and then function request respond. Okay, and now, app-get, and then we'll just res send, and now we can use our module here. So helper is equal to this. We're requiring this file, and this file simply returns a string. So we're going to do helper, so res send helper. Okay, so now if we don't have to, we actually have to run it. So we'll do NodeMon app.js, and now if we load the URL, so now if we do test hello world from helper.js. So you can see in our code here we used functionality coming from a separate file, and the way you import them into within the Node.js ecosystem is you do module exports, whatever you want, and then you can require this file and then use it. So let's use a more complicated example where we're going to export an object with functions. So one function, for example, we can take a bunch of variables and then combine them into a string. So we can call it sentence. So sentence is a function. So here we're exporting an object, as you can see by the curly brackets, and one of the functions within this helper file will be sentence, and it'll take name, age, and occupation. And it'll return, hello world, my name is name. Oops. And then I am age, years old, and I am a occupation. So if we call the sentence function and pass in name, age, and occupation, it'll return a formatted string for us. So now we require this file, and now we can use it. So here we can do res send. So let's actually, so we'll delete that route. And part of this route here, when you get the user and the name, let's get rid of this. So here you can see when you go to user Robert, you see this information in this format. Let's actually, to test this, we'll comment this out and do res send. And now let's use that function. So helper.sentence. And now let's pass in the variables. So here helper is an object and we're calling the sentence function. Here you can see it's an object and we're calling the sentence function, and it takes name, age, and occupation. So the name will be the parameter name, comma, the age, which will be check. So here you can see check is assigning it to the object of the user. So you can see for each user we have age, occupation, hobby. So we'll do check.age and then not hobby, but occupation. Okay, so now if we reload it, we should see the string. Hello world, my name is Robert, I am 34 years old, and I'm an engineer. We didn't put a period at the end, but that's okay. So now we can do something like David, and we get the same thing. Hello world, my name is David, and I am a professor. So you can see how we're using these helper functions that are defined in another module within our own using the require. So the two things required for modules within Node.js is an exports function. We're exporting this whole module to the module global object, and then we're requiring it here, and we're able to use those functions within our code. So helper.sentence, and then here, for example, you can have other functions. You could have convert age to minutes. So this could be a function, and you could take the age. So for example, it can take age, which is, let's say, 34 years old, and it will convert that to the number of minutes you've been alive. So return, so here to do, convert age to minutes. And then you can just call this function within here. So you can say res send, we can get rid of this, and then convert age to minutes and pass in check.age. And then this would return the age in minutes if you implemented this correctly. So this is a really simple example of a module exports file, and then this is how you require it, and you're able to use it in your code. And so within Node.js now you can import modules. So here in the Node modules folder, it was automatically created because we imported EJS and Express using the npm install function. So when we do something like npm install and then module name, it'll install that module within our Node modules folder here, and then we're able to use that in our application by just doing require and the module name. So let's just say you have a module that does some fancy stuff with, mathematically, or does some fancy things with strings, and you want to publish it for everyone to use. You can actually publish. If you go to npmjs.com, this is the package system for Node.js, and you're actually able to upload your module here. So if you go into the documentation, you can see here they have a tutorial on how to create a module, something like we just covered, and then how to publish it. So they tell you the rules of how to publish it, what files you need. You need some settings and some configuration, and then you can just upload it to npm. And then if someone searches it, they can use it in their code. So if we did something like time, we can find all of the npm modules that have to do with time. So measure time, and then there's some documentation here. So measure time is a stopwatch. So you would install it via npm install measure time, then you can use it in your code, so you can require it, and then you can use it. So get elapsed is a function, and yeah. So most modules come with documentation, so you can learn how to use them. So yeah, this is a really simple tutorial on Node.js modules. Feel free to look at the links below to read more on how to create these modules. So here you can see we created an object with functions within it. You can also set module exports to a function. So for example, you can have function person. and you can have things like name, age, and you can do this name equals name, this age equals age. You can have some prototypes for this, and then you can export it by doing module exports equals person. Whoops, person. And then you can initialize this person object within your code. So for example, if you did something like, so in this case, helper equals require helper, and then function person, you export this function, you can do something like this. You can do var a person equals helper, and then you can pass in something like name, Daniel, age, 100. And now you have this person object initialized to a new person object. So yeah, so feel free to read the tutorials to learn more about Node.js modules and check out npmjs.com.